Hour. Is this on? Okay, good. Let's do it. It's hot in LA. It's hot. Like hot as a witch's. Okay, forget that. But anyways, we're going to have some fun. Craig Impelman. That's right. Coach Wooden's grandson-in-law. He is the best when it comes to basketball, in particular, college basketball. We're going to have a great conversation. We also have Johnny Mohawk. He's going to lay it out in the backgammon world. And we're going to have some fun. We're going to get it all done within an hour because, yeah, that's right. Those guys, they're on at 6 out here. So we got to, and we're going to do this because they got to win their 17th banner. Let's start the show. I'm a Venice, California-born, Los Angeles-based sports fan. One that has played, coached, announced, and promoted sports my whole life. My love affair with sports started in my own backyard and has led me to this podcast. Thanks to the support of the Amateur Athletic Union in East Bay, I'm excited to bring you Sports Stories with Denny Lennon.
Sports Stories with Denny Lennon aims to bring its subscribers interesting, unique, and uplifting stories. You can find us at sportstoriespodcast.com. We drop audio and video podcasts every Thursday and go live on YouTube Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Many guests have shared their stories with host Denny Lennon, such as Super Bowl and BCS champions Brendan Ion Badejo, Peter Boulware, and Trevor Lawrence, three-time Olympic gold medalist Karch Karai, Kentucky Derby winner Doug O'Neill, NCAA champions Toby Bailey and St. John Smith, Hall of Famers Jimmy Lennon Jr., Rudy Tomjanovich, world champions Boom Boom Mancini and Tim Leary, AAU Sullivan Award winners Catherine Plummer, Sabrina Ionescu, and Spencer Lee, not to mention the head honcho, AAU President Dr. Roger Gowdy. We've also had best-selling authors Wesley King and Wayne Coffey, and our Sports Stories favorite, Norm Bass, the first African-American to play 2 professional sports post-World War II. Become a friend of the show on Patreon, and you can help keep the dream alive. Go to patreon.com/Denny Lennon or go to our website to see all of our social media links. If you have an interesting, unique, or uplifting story to tell, contact us on sportstoriespodcast.com.
Coming to you live from Los Angeles. We're in the shadow of LAX. It's a top-rated video podcast in the Centinela Adobe Corridor. It's where we share a wall with the Korean United Methodist, and you can see St. Jerome Church from our back porch. We're in the 7428 studio where Jimbo and Marley run the show, and Buck kicks back until he's got to kick it out. It's SSDL Live at 5 on YouTube. All right, welcome in. Let's kick it out, everybody. Don't do that. Let's toast. Happy hour. Happy hour. Let's do this, everybody. Okay, we're going to have a great one. If you are loving, if you love some college basketball, and who doesn't, this is going to be a great one for you, especially from the heyday. That's everything from John Wooden moving forward into the 80s and so forth, because we lost a couple great ones in Lute Olson and John Thompson, so we'll get a chance to talk a little bit about them. But first, let's get this rolling. What did we do this week? Shout outs. Sorry, Marley, bring it back to me. Okay. Hey, family, you here? I think you are. I hope so. How about my St. Mark and St. Bernard people, my VBC and my AAU people? Okay, hopefully you're here. I got our top 5 states outside of California. It's a little interesting this week. I'll tell you what, some of these we haven't heard from before. First, coming in, now these are top 5 that are ranking outside of California. Coming in, Indiana. Now, that's where John Wooden was born, so that makes some sense. North Dakota. North Dakota, oh, that's where Lute Olson was born. So now we're starting to make some more sense. District of Columbia. Okay, that's kind of like Tijuana. I'm not sure if it's a state. Well, it's a district, but we'll count it. We'll count it this time. Capital. It's our nation. Yeah, sure. Well, we know it lives there. But you know who was born there? John Thompson. And Kansas, that's where John McLendon was born. You're going to learn about John McLendon, always holding on to that spot. They're celebrating some high school football out there, OH. And we're going to be celebrating that high school football with them in another month when we release our Madison 212. Okay, I did that. Now we can go to this week, or do we want to go to Twitter polls? Let's see. No, what happened this week? Hey, if you didn't see Wednesdays, you're going to want to look it up because these 2 gold medalists on the Preps 2 Olympians, the PTO show, Angel and Bella Ferrari were a gas. They were super fun. We got them in their dorm at Georgia State where they're going to be playing beach volleyball, but they had won our 18 gold. They were great. Okay.
If you were bad, you'd be like,
watch this guy. Look at this guy. That's our guest tonight. That's Craig Impelman. He was our guest for a video podcast in the back. He's on Uninterrupted, and tonight he'll be our guest for the Happy Hour show. Look at that happy hour and all glittery. Gotta like that. Okay, we got a couple things to keep up on. How about keeping up on our Twitter polls? So we got a couple things going on. One, we introduced this on Wednesday's show. This is my boy David Wharton. He's a friend of the show, and he introduced he filled in everybody about this LA28, right? And so 26 artists, actors, athletes have been asked by the LA28 committee for the Olympic Games that's coming here in 2028 to redesign the A. So the 4 that David picked for the front page of his article, we put up on a poll on Twitter at Sports Stories DL. So that's at, and then it's me, but really that should be at Sports Stories DL. All right. And it just finished right before here. Guess who won out of Billie Eilish, Reese Witherspoon, Dr. Wu, and Allison Felix? Billie Eilish won. 57% of the vote Billie took home. Reese coming in second. Reese Witherspoon, Dr. Wu, the tattoo artist, in third. And somehow Allison Felix comes in fourth. Doesn't even make the medal stand. Something's not right. That was one of the great sprinters of all time. Didn't make the medal stand. That's all right. Hey, we're going to keep these polls coming, so please visit us on at Sports Stories DL. You got another reason to do it because we're in a best of 7 series with Karch Karai and St. John Smith. We're determining who's the king of the beach, but everything outside of them playing each other one-on-one. So first out of the gate was their acting skills. Karch took that with his episode of Baywatch from 1994. Karch pretty much nailed it. St. John fell short in that one from 1983 Magnum PI episode. The second one has to do with their sponsors. Karch, Speedo, St. John, Sight Out. That poll is still going on. It's going on for a few more days. Okay. Each of these will last a week, 7 days to signify the best out of 7. So far, St. John holding a strong lead. But again, go to Sports Stories DL, just search through, you can go in the thread, look at the pictures, make your choice, visit us on those polls. We hope you'll join us. All right. Never Seen LA. That is our catchy way of talking about Jonas Never, who that's Carlos. We're not going to get a chance to visit Carlos tonight because he's busy with Stone Cold Steve Austin, but he turned me on to Jonas Never, and there's a great artist in Los Angeles. And so he recently did that one at Casablanca, but this is the one he just busted out at Baby Blues Barbecue on the corner of Lincoln and Sunset. Here's a few of his other works around Los Angeles. He's a 37-year-old LA-based muralist who is in big demand all over. That one, Touch of Venice instead of Touch of Evil, which was an iconic film. The St. Mark, the patron saint of Venice, they're going to hold the Dogtown Bible. Tyler Skaggs right there. Yeah, it's brilliant, the work he does. You can kind of get a beat on what he does. He weaves it in to the culture of the area. And any and all of these really do tell you a history and a story about what's going on in Los Angeles. We're open to dive deep on a lot of these works from Jonas Never. So got a chance to hang out with him the other day. He's a great guy. And that's his original one. I think that's his first one is Bo Kimball and Hank Gathers. And that's at Tower Pizza in Westchester. And that was one of his first ones ever. So Never Seen LA. We're going to keep you up to speed on what Jonas Never is doing. And shout out to him. It's Never 1959 is his Twitter handle. You should look up his work. It's intense. It's really good. Hey, I told you why I got the Lakers going. They start against Houston tonight. Sporting UCLA. I think it's College Colors Day. I went to night school at UCLA for like a short time, so I'm not sure if that counts. But I'm a big John Wooden fan. I go deep on John Wooden, so that's why I went 10 years to Santa Monica College, but I couldn't find my SMC shirt. Okay. We're going to next. How about our backgammon teaser? I don't think I'm going to voice it because it's so dramatic. Let's go. Okay, that'll bring you in. Tell me you don't want to learn how to play backgammon if you don't already know how. Figure it out. You know why? We're off and running. Did you see all those sponsors I had up on there? It's going to be legit. Already got the blessing from Second Vice President Joe Gura of the Amateur Athletic Union. He grew up Catholic, and so we're good there with the AAU. And we showed, and then a couple weeks ago, I think we showed where my son had a bachelor party, but we were doing a live remote from a resort at the Lawrence Welk Resort in Escondido, and Kuzti's, Steve Irvin's business, came on board. East Bay, they love the East Bay Shootout. They're in. I know they are. As a matter of fact, Adam said, sure, we'll talk about it. That means yeah. So we're looking good. And here's what we got to do. How do we make this fair for everybody, right? How do we make it fair? How do we make sure that everybody in all 56 districts across the country are represented fairly with a national point system and with an appropriate way of eventually determine an AAU national champion of backgammon for what will be termed the National Backgammon Alliance. It might be the National Backgammon Association. Not sure which. We're still working on that. But I know one thing. We got one guy behind us who knows how to handle his points. That's Johnny Mohawk. Yep. There he is right there. Jon Alvarez, the brains behind everything. Hello, John.
How are you?
I'm great. Where are we dipping into? Laguna Beach area, maybe?
Laguna Hills. Close enough.
Nice. Jon Alvarez. Now, John, your website is called Volleyball Life. You handle several associations, including the AAU and their point system for beach volleyball. Can you tell me a little bit about how you came to start running that kind of point system and so forth?
That's a very good question, actually. We actually just started Volleyball Life a couple of years back, and a couple of tournament directors here in California were running some AAU stuff, and they wanted AAU to have a point system. So they called up the AAU. We sat down with them, drew it up, and then coded it all up. And put it into place about 2 years ago, and been keeping points on beach volleyball ever since.
Yeah, you have. And beach volleyball, because you have a little bit of a background, I think you're a Texas kid, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm originally from Texas, been playing beach volleyball and volleyball in general for about 30 years. Moved out here to California about 7 or 8 years ago to re-pursue volleyball more seriously, and then I got old, so.
Yeah, these things happen. But, you unlike me, had a brain to fall back on. And so you got involved in coding and being able to figure out a complicated point system, because it's not easy. If we're talking like about beach volleyball, you have to take into effect how many teams are in a particular division. How did those teams do against other competition? How do you weight district championships versus national? All those things. And you worked your way through that over the last couple of years.
Yes. Yeah, we've been analyzing data and tweaking it, and looking at even doing an international ranking system as well as a point system. There are two different ways you can go about it. You can do a cumulative point system, or you can do a skill-based point system, and we can accommodate both. So
that is good to hear. I failed, John, to say cheers to you. This is the Happy Hour show, and I got to apologize on behalf of Carlos. Yeah, boy. I got to apologize on the behalf of Carlos from Casablanca Restaurant in Venice, who's hanging out with Steve Cole, Stone Cold Steve Austin tonight. So he couldn't rally up and get you some food in Laguna Hills. So I apologize for him.
That's okay.
He would have brought margaritas too, but apparently, I don't know, you got played out for Stone Cold. All right, so I got one question before we start to lay out how we're going to do this for backgammon. How did you get the Johnny Mohawk nickname?
It just came with having a mohawk.
Okay. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, I've had a mohawk on and off for 20 some odd years, had it permanently for the last 10 years. And it just so happened that it was right around the time that Johnny football was big. And so since my name was John, someone's like, you should go by Johnny Mohawk. I didn't like it, but that's what they called me, and it kind of stuck.
I kind of want to roll with it, because that's how our national audience is going to learn to love you, Johnny Mohawk. So how do we figure this out now in backgammon? One of the things, in order to have a national point system, one of the things we talked about was, how do we afford for the guy who is just at home and maybe like plays, their buddy who's terrible and just racks up a bunch of wins versus the people who, like ourselves, every time we have a big family event, we'll have a tournament. We'll throw a little tournament within our house. And so then the level of play varies from, weak to strong. So how would we lay this out so that there's going to be a credible point system and we can rank players throughout districts? There's 56 districts out there, and also how we can rank them in a national setting.
Well, there's several things we can do here. I honestly, for a sport like this, I suggest 2 point systems. One is a participation point system, so you can award those that participating in most of your events, and that's just a cumulative point where you get a certain amount of points for entering, and then the better you do in those events, the more points you get. And then we can also do a skill-based and apply something like the ELO rating system that was started for chess and is still used to this day. And almost every rating system on the planet is a variation of the ELO system. You can do something like a True Skill, which was designed by the Microsoft research team for online gaming, or you can do I think it's a Glico 2, which is a variation of that as well. That gives you a quicker analysis of skill. So you can have a participation point system that awards those for playing in events, and then you can have a skill-based system as well that within 5 or 10 games or matches, you can get a true evaluation of somebody's skill, and that will allow you to do a national championship and divide people into certain skill levels, and so they're competing only against the ones that they're not going to just crush.
Wow. And then okay, first on the ELO system, true or false, there was some chess game going on at an Electric Light Orchestra concert, and that's where they founded that system.
I don't know.
Okay.
I know it's the ELO system because it was designed way back when by a guy named ELO. So his last name was ELO. So,
okay. I must misunderstood.
Long time ago.
Second, we want to divide this. We're kicking this around about having 3 different disciplines, and a particular backgammon registrant member can play in any of them. And we're talking about having one that's going to be table division, where you're in front of each other, right? Another one that's going to accumulate your points based on an online, so you play people online, and then a third one that would have what we're going to call our beach division, where you could be, just as long as your feet are in the sand somewhere, you're going to be in the beach division. So
I can go to Home Depot, buy a bag of sand, cut it open, and just put my feet in it?
Theoretically, you could do that, Johnny Mohawk. Theoretically, you could do that.
I just want, people in the Midwest to be able to participate in the beach division.
Because we're going to have the beach nationals, and you're going to want to know how to play with your feet in the sand. So we don't want anybody at a disadvantage. So how do we take these points, and can we have rankings in each of the divisions, and then a cumulative? How would that play out?
Yeah, I mean, my platform, you can divide them into any groups that you want, and award different point values for those different groups. For instance, in beach, we do have, let me go to the ranking system here. For the beach system, those are the rankings. Let me get to the point system. Sorry about that.
It's all right. Let's see what you got.
So, this is obviously a little bit different because it's age divisions, but these could be separate divisions where you get different point values for the different divisions, and then we can accumulate rankings. Our current rankings for the AAU Beach, you can look at the overall rankings, which will give you everybody, or we can divide it out into just the 18U or 16U or 14U, just with the click of a filter button, and being able to divide it out into any divisions that we want.
I love it. And I think we're going to keep this on the 18 and 21U and then post level, because we're going strong after Mick Ultra. I think they look like they're jumping in, and we have the potential to involve gambling at some point if that's part of our game. And we're going to lay this out. And I don't know if you know this, John, but the Amateur Athletic Union was founded in 1888, and it was founded to codify the rule of play between all of those kind of like sport clubs that were popping up around that time. So they wanted to codify and make sure it was fair if you belong to the New York Athletic Club and you're playing the Philadelphia Athletic Club and something, or you're going to Chicago to play the Chicago Athletic Club, that kind of stuff. And then they work their way into leading our Olympic movement. So the end game point, we don't know. We might be running the Olympics at some point of backgammon. So we want to make sure we roll this out right. And it sounds like we got the right guy.
I hope so. I think we can do it.
Okay. So I got my homework in front of me. You keep just pounding it out over there. Figure out the different point systems for the different divisions. And then we're going to lay this out just like we did with the AAU Beach. And it's going to be something. So Johnny Mohawk, I got one more question for you. Tell me what it's like living in Laguna Hills. People want to know a little bit about you.
It's actually.
So you see, he doesn't know that we swipe people off the show, which that made it hilarious right there. Oh man, that is good times. Good times. I didn't tell him. You know why? Because I love him. That's why. So I didn't tell him. Hey, if I could swipe an Admiral off the show, I could swipe Johnny Mohawk. All right, there they are. Coos Tees, Mick Ultra, East Bay, and the AAU together. That's a family. It's an alliance. Maybe it's an association, but I maybe it's an alliance. I don't know. We're kicking that around. You hit us up. Hit me up on Twitter. Let me know. Alliance Association National Backgammon. Are you kidding? This is the AAU. You could win an AAU National Championship. Get out the backgammon boards. Get down to business. Figure it out. We're going to be rolling this out probably within a month or so. And you're going to want to know what your district is, membership. We'll have all that information coming up, but we're going to have some fun. And we'll probably, you know what? We'll bring Johnny Mohawk back on one of these days, and we're going to talk to him about live streaming backgammon. I think that could be a thing. How about we put it in a quad and we go ultra zone? We ultra zone it. And then maybe I bring in like Randy Rosenblum, and he's like, whoa, look at him roll that 6 and a 3. This is just what he needed, Denny. That kind of stuff. This could be beautiful. Yeah, that was my Randy voice. You're right. Okay. Good times. All right. Backgammon League coming your way. All right. So now it's time to get into some fun stuff. And we're talking about John Wooden and some other basketball coaches, including Lute Olson, John Thompson, who just passed this week, and one of their inspirations, and a person we should all know, and that's John McLendon. So that said, John Wooden, that's right. You've been following me on Twitter lately. I've been reliving that 68 national championship with some good push. Also, I just put something out both on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook that has to do with John Wooden went to school at Purdue, and he learned from Piggy Lambert how to play the game, right? And so you see Piggy Lambert's original book with John Wooden's writing in there, figuring out, yeah, that's the guy who won 10 out of 12 national championships, just that guy. Anyhow, I was stoked. I knew a guy when I was an athletic director who would help you learn a little bit more and teach your teams about John Wooden and the philosophy. All my teams always knew who John Wooden was, and I always used the Pyramid Success to coach. And so he introduced me to our guest, who's Craig Impelman. I convinced Craig Impelman. First, Craig Impelman offered up his Wooden's wisdom so we could use it. And if you watch the video podcast, you'll notice a lot of our original stories, we involved a lot of Wooden's wisdom videos and the like. And so we had Craig Impelman on, I think it was episodes 10 and 11. We had him on for one interview. We divided up into 10 and 11 on our video podcast series. The guy is great. And so we wanted to make sure we got him involved in the live show. That said, this is the intro that we put together for that because, you know, if you don't know who John Wooden is, you have to, right? This is his grandson-in-law. And also we introduced Craig a little bit. So let's roll this, and then we're bringing in Coach Imp.
When I was young, one of the earliest memories of sports was the great UCLA basketball teams. I was born the same year the Bruins won their first title in 1964, and by the time I was in 6th grade in 1975, the Bruins had won 10 NCAA titles. Yes, 10 out of 12 years they won it all. That accomplishment is nothing short of astounding. I was into basketball at a young age. The first UCLA teams I remember were just after Lute Olson, before he was called Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, had graduated, and the Bruins, now without the player that some argue as the greatest basketball player ever, still won 2 more titles in 1970 and in 1971. They had that devastating Wicks and Rowe combo at the forward spots. The Thursday night games would play late on KTLA, Channel 5 in Los Angeles. And those Saturday games, I would plan my whole day around. The great sportscaster Dick Imbert was the play-by-play man. Bebby from the corner, oh my! I couldn't wait to get out to the backyard hoop after the game and just start shooting, pretending I was playing for Coach Wooden. Yep, to me, that was the goal. Play for that coach that always seemed to have the plan, the guy that always won. It would take time for me to learn enough about Coach Wooden to realize that he was much more than a coach that won a lot. But when you're a kid and the big redhead Bill Walton is on the team and the Bruins don't lose for 88 straight games, Coach Wooden is a coach that won an awful lot. What I also didn't know was that Coach Wooden was a player that won a lot too. Born in 1910 in the basketball crazy state of Indiana, John Wooden was as big of a basketball star as they come. He was 3 times named All-State and led Martinsville High School to the Indiana High School Championship in 1927. He was a 3-time All-American at Purdue University for Coach Piggy Lambert. In 1932, the year the 31st President of the United States, Herbert Clark Hoover, was in office, Purdue was voted the national champions, and John Wooden was voted the College Player of the Year. John Wooden will tell you that much more important things happened to him in Indiana than winning championships and accolades. Growing up on a farm, he learned the value of hard work from his parents. And like most boys in Indiana, he learned to play basketball along with his 3 brothers on the hoop that was affixed to their barn. Important lessons from his father came in many ways. Among them, something Joshua Wooden called 2 sets of 3. Never lie, never cheat, never steal. Don't whine, don't complain, don't make excuses. When the family faced tough times in Centerton, Indiana, they certainly didn't whine. They picked up and moved to Martinsville. It was there on a warm summer night at the school carnival in 1925 that a 15-year-old John Wooden met the only girl he would ever go with, the love of his life, Nell. John graduated in 1932 from Purdue with a degree in English. He and Nellie were married that August in Indianapolis, attending a Mills Brother concert at the Circle Theater that evening. They would enjoy over 50 years of marriage, a son and a daughter, and among their 7 grandchildren is Christy, who married our guest today, Craig Impelman. Coach Imp, if you will, is an accomplished coach in his own right, a motivational speaker, a proud husband and father who serves as the author of Wooden's Wisdom e-coaching newsletter. As you will hear and hopefully see on YouTube, Imp has not only brought with him some of the most treasured archives in basketball history, but he has also brought a cornerstone of Coach Wooden's seminal work, The Pyramid of Success, which is his infectious enthusiasm. So, now that I've dropped Lou Alcindor, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Sidney Wicks, Curtis Rowe, Dick Emberg, Henry Bibby, the Big Redhead, Piggy Lambert, the Great Humanitarian, Joshua Wooden, Nell Wooden, Christy Impelman, and the Mills Brothers, oh my! I am proud to bring you from the 7428 studio, the one and only Craig Impelman.
Let's go. Take a shot.
I'm ready.
I'm going to get the assist on this. Where are you going to shoot from? Right there?
This is good here.
Oh, he was that close to maybe winning the East Bay Championship. That close. Oh, Imp. Oh, hey, I often would speak at places and so forth, and I would say there's 3 Americans that are my favorite, right? My mom, Abraham Lincoln, and John Wooden. How fortunate am I to have a relationship with this guy, John Wooden's grandson-in-law, a force to be reckoned with in his own right. Let's bring him in. Craig Impelman. Hi, Coach.
What is happening? I mean, I got so much going on in my head right now after watching that and listening to you. I didn't even know where to start.
Yep.
You know, I was running a tough schedule. I got these earphones in because my hearing is bad, making my wife crazy. And I had my appointment. I'm getting hearing aids in 2 weeks. So next time we do this, I won't have to have these things on. But since I'm more concerned about character than reputation, I'm not going to sweat it.
No, you're not going to sweat it. And
what do you want to start? Let's get rolling, man. We got too much to do in too much time.
All right, Imp. Before you go, the train comes off the tracks.
The train is off the tracks.
But before we're going to talk. We're going to talk Coach Wooden, and then we're going to go over the 2 coaches that we lost this week because your involvement with the with the coaches of college basketball is really important. So we're going to talk a little Lute Olson and John Thompson, and upon your insistence, and then I looked it up, and it's brilliant, is John McLendon. So we're going to say, so let's first talk a little bit about Coach Wooden.
Well, wait, do you want me to do the new memorabilia first?
Yes, I do. So let me bring everybody up to speed. When you came for, I think it was like in October 28th or something, you came and you brought the 1968 UCLA team signed basketball, had every game on it, and it had everybody on that team sign that ball.
It was the game ball from the. I shouldn't correct you. John Wooden would never correct you. He just let you roll. But in case you forgot, I'm not John Wooden. It was the game ball.
Yes, it was the game ball. Yes,
from the game, the championship game.
From the championship game where they beat North Carolina.
Well, just the ball that was signed, the game ball.
Fair enough. Fair play.
So John Wooden had 10 game balls like that.
And
he gave them away to one to each of the one of the 8 grandchildren. Everybody got one.
Oh, wow.
And the thing I don't know where the other 2 are.
Oh, boy.
You and I talked about that. I was trying to figure out what do you do with the other 2? I don't know.
So and then
that's how we ended up with that ball.
You also brought, so anybody watched the video podcast, they could see this. You also brought the Coach of the Century trophy that was given out to Coach. And that was presented by ESPN, or who was that presented by? That
was the Victor Awards.
Yep.
You know, it's funny. I didn't even think about this downstairs, but I'm not going to take the computer downstairs. Maybe, who knows? Is the actual Naismith Sportsmanship Trophy, which is huge. It's gigantic. Coach gave that to us as well. So if we get too crazy, I'll walk downstairs with this laptop.
I love
point the camera at it. But anyway,
well, as long as we're before we get going. Let's say
I bought you Piggy Lambert's
Carlos.
right?
Carlos.
Oh,
right.
This guy is legend. Get to Casablanca, man. Come on. What are you doing? If you're not there, you should be in the car and on your way.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
So he hooked you up, right? You got some food?
Oh, unbelievable. Fresh, beautiful, delicious. More. I want to get done and get in my car and head to Casablanca and Venice, man. Let's go right now.
Before we move on, I want to make sure everybody knows I'm supporting UCLA because I attended night school there, and I like Coach Wooden a little bit. But you are supporting Pepperdine because your boy's there, right?
Yeah, he's coaching there. I got so many stories, man. You don't even.
Yeah, I do know.
Come on.
Yes, I'm aware.
Let's start out with a Pepperdine story. Can I roll now or what?
Yeah, go ahead.
Are the gloves off?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, go get them, buddy.
Coronavirus, college basketball.
Yeah.
No place to practice. We can't go in the gym. So my son mentioned to me that Cal had got their tennis courts set up with basketball courts. So they're doing their workouts outside, which Pepperdine is doing now as well. And I told John, I said, man, you got UCLA's got the Mo Austin Basketball Center. And I said, Pepperdine should have the Tony Fuller Basketball Center.
Mm-hmm.
And John had heard the story 10 times, but I'll tell it again.
Mm-hmm.
So in 1981 or 82, whatever it was, I get to Pepperdine with Jim Herrick, new coach, and Tom Asbury. And so Coach Herrick has a little deal called homework basketball. He has all the players come in individually, and he meets with them. He gives them a workout, hour and a half workout, do on your own. So I go on a recruiting trail. I come back. I said, Coach, how are the individual workouts going? This is 1981, by the way. No coronavirus. He goes, well, the gym is closed because they're redoing the floor. And so none of the guys are doing the workouts because they come in and tell me that they got no place to practice because the gym is closed. He goes, well, except for one guy. Come over here and look out the window, Imp. So we walk out to the window, which overlooks the parking lot. And there's a guy by the name of Tony Fuller, 6'4", put his chin on the rim, shoot the jumper, outside in the parking lot on the outdoor court with no net on the rim doing the workout. He's sliding the keys side to side, full speed, defensive slides in the parking lot.
Yep.
So no big surprise. Fuller leads our team in scoring and rebounding, field goal percentage, and becomes the only member of that team that ends up playing in the NBA.
Yeah.
And later, the head coach at Pepperdine, assistant coach at UCLA, head coach San Diego State. So any of you kids out there watching or parents that are whining and complaining, flashback to 2 sets of threes about, oh, the gyms are closed. Go to your local Tony Fuller outdoor court.
That's right.
And get to work.
That's right. That's right. Hey, I would be shooting out back if my contractor could find some cement and get our thing done. But
cement. Hey, Lemon, you dropped Henry Bibby, didn't you, in the front?
I sure did.
Yeah. Played the NBA 11 years. Couldn't even touch the freaking rim. Grew up in Franklinton, North Carolina, with a basket in his backyard in a court that was on dirt and pebbles everywhere. And claims part of his great ball handling came as a result of playing on the dirt outdoor court because it was uneven, so you had to have better control. So get back outside and stop talking about that.
I will figure it out. I'll dribble in between the rebar. Hey, Coach, tell me a little bit, growing up.
New memorabilia.
Hey, can you tell me something that, we've learned a lot on this show on various times about John Wooden, and a lot of people are certainly, versed in Coach Wooden, but perhaps you could tell me, something that's a little off the beaten path that we don't know about the great John Robert Wooden.
I don't have anything off the beaten path. I'll tell you what's off the beaten path.
Okay.
Because I thought about this. And so as we've discussed, and as you know, I devoted my life to passing along what I learned at John Wooden from to other people and other coaches, right? So, and you kind of wonder, what are you doing, man? And I thought back to, I was running a coaches clinic at the YMCA 15 years ago, and I was, preaching the message about not using profanity, having great self-control as a coach. Most important word in dictionary is love. Second most important word is balance. And I got done with doing this coaching clinic, and this young man came up to me. He was about 20 years old. He's getting ready to coach Y winners. Little kids, man. You'll coach little kids, right? And those little kids will end up coaching the same way that he coached them. So he says, Coach Imp, can I ask you a question? I said, sure. He goes, does this mean I don't have to yell and scream at my players and to coach them? He's dead serious. And I said, well, yeah. He goes, oh, man, I didn't know that. I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, my high school coach, he always yelled and cursed at us and screamed at us all the time. So I figured that's what you had to do if you were a coach. And that's why I've been coaching my YMCA team. But I was kind of uncomfortable doing that. So going all the way back, we have no idea the influence that a coach can have.
That's right.
And I think that's kind of the end game, is influencing coaches. Now, for me personally, I grew up having no idea what to do because I grew up playing playground ball and in a park, St. Mary's Park in San Francisco, kind of in a tough area. And so I had no idea. I mean, I just tried to make the worst fancy play every time and talk smack. And, and then I run into John Wooden. It's a whole new world. And so absent his influence, I would have been the guy talking smack the rest of my life.
Right.
And so his influence taught me how to act as a person, how to be nice to people, how to try to cheer people up, how to try to find nice ways to do things for people that I don't know. All that came from his influence as a coach. And everybody out there who's coaching youth basketball, big boy basketball, whatever they want to do, you have a responsibility to minister good values to the people that you coach.
Right.
Because you have more of their attention than that guy in church on Sunday does.
Yeah, I know. Yep. I've learned that along the way.
I mean, it's a crazy thing.
It is, and it's an evaluation. It's just an acknowledgement of what is, as opposed to what may or may not be right. And I used to have that same conversation coming up as a coach in Catholic schools with the priests. I would just say, Father, they come back and they remember they scored 12 points against St. Gerard, but they might not remember your homily, and that's power of sport.
So offbeat. I love interrupting, Lemon. I'm the only guy that gets to do it.
You can call me Lennon if you want it, but go ahead.
Offbeat with Coach Wooden. You know, I never heard him tell a good story about himself. Ever. I never. One. I did hear one. We were talking one day about the 3-on-2, and I know you know it, the 3-on-2 fast break basketball conditioner. And he said he did make the comment, that's the best drill I ever invented. But other than that, never told a story about a game he won, never told a story about a great coaching job he did, ever. Period.
I have something interesting here, Marley. If Marley can pull it up, it's practical basketball. One of the first. So this picture right here, Craig. So for those that are looking at their computer screen, a little more difficult, but they can look at it later. And that's Coach Wooden's writing beneath Piggy Lambert's book. Now, Piggy Lambert was his coach at Purdue, of course, very influential, and that's Coach's writing. And I think those are just about dribbling right there, and the various things you want to keep in mind about dribbling. But one, he was very meticulous and detailed, and two, his writing was impeccable. Like, that's good penmanship right there, Craig.
Well, there's a lot, man. I don't even know. So do we want to? I don't even know, how much time do we have total? 2 or 3 hours?
14 hours.
So if we're gonna stick with Coach Wooden for a second. Okay. Sure. So the question is, how did he get to be so smart? He read a lot. Okay. He wasn't watching the Kardashians do Hollywood at night. He was reading books. And I have his library, and you take his library, just like if you take that book, you're going to find all of his books are annotated. He has notes in the column from the book about what he took from it. Okay. So he read a lot. That's how he got to be smart. So with Wooden's wisdom, which I've been sending out one issue a week, about 600 words in each lesson.
Those are brilliant.
Now we're going to do number 460 this week.
Brilliant. And
so I guess that's 11 years.
Craig, woodenswisdom.com, correct?
Woodenswisdom.com.
Okay, good.
So let's talk about how that ties in with reading.
Please.
Okay. So there's 460 lessons. You can log into the library and you have access to 460 individual 500 or 600 word lessons.
Yep.
300 of those are from John Wooden, 313 to be exact. You can look them up by topic: mental toughness, recruiting, balance. Whatever it's a pull down. You look it up, whatever you want. Okay. For the last 2 years, I guess, whatever 460 minus 313, I ran out of Wooden material after 313, I guess about 8 years, and I started researching other coaches. So I got my little phone here. I looked up. Here's a quick rundown of the coaches, right? I'm going fast. Morgan Wooten, Bill Russell, Greg Popovich, Pat Riley, Phil Jackson, Red Auerbach, Piggy Lambert, Gino Auriemma, Jay Wright, Denny Cron, Dean Smith, Roy Williams, John McLendon, Mike Krzyzewski, Pat Summitt, John Thompson, Pete Newell, Bud Wilkinson, Tom Osborne, Woody Hayes, B.R. Bryant, Nick Saban, Eddie Robinson, Suzanne Yokelong, Valerie Condos Field, Jack Clark, Anson Dorrance, Dan Gable, Tony Dungy, Don Shula, Tom Landry, Bill Rawls, Joe Gibbs, Chuck Noll, Vince Lombardi, George Hallis, Bill Belichick, Sparky Anderson, Tony Russo, Walter Alston, Joe Torre, Connie Mack, Casey Stengel, Graham Henry.
Okay.
Who's Jack Clark?
He's a baseball.
No. Who's Jack Clark? Rugby coach at Cal. He only won 28 national championships.
Oh.
Think you can learn something from the guy?
Maybe.
Anson Dorrance, soccer. 22 national championships. Think you can learn something from the guy? Dan Gable, wrestling.
Right.
15 national championships. Oh, who the heck is Susan Yokelon? Well, 10 national championships at Georgia, gymnastics. So you can look up each of these coaches, and there's lessons from them. And I'm going to tell you, if you're a coach sitting at home or a parent sitting at home and you want to know what separates all these other guys, Sean McVay of the Rams pays $2.99 a month to get Wooden's wisdom. Okay?
That's brilliant, that $2.99.
He knows.
$3.
He studies other coaches. Great coaches study other coaches. John Wooden studied other coaches.
Yes, he did.
So if you want to get smart, you're going to have to read.
Imp, you said you had some memorabilia that was new.
New memorabilia.
Let's see it.
Oh.
What do you got?
Here we go. Here's a picture. If you can see it.
Yep.
That's John Wooden with Red Auerbach and Morgan Wooten.
Oh, those guys can coach a little.
And, of course, I've written about both of those guys.
Yeah.
And the picture is signed from Morgan Wooten and John Wooden and from Red Auerbach.
Why does Red Auerbach look like a casino dealer? Like he owns a casino?
What a guy this guy is. When I started writing about the coaches, I was going to just do one lesson on each coach. So he was one of the first. Morgan and Red were two of the first, so I only did one on each one of them. But then I got to like Tom Osborne. I went, man, there's like 8 lessons here. So I've been doing multiples instead of just skipping to the next guy. But eventually I'll circle back. Morgan Wooten's probably got about 5 good lessons I can
he does.
bring. Auerbach probably about probably 10, 15. Let's talk about Auerbach for a minute.
Well, look, on that picture, Morgan Wooten looks like he sells insurance. Coach Wooden looks like he's a pastor of a church. And then you got friggin' casino owner in the middle, Red Auerbach, cheating everybody out of championships with them Boston Celtics people.
So Auerbach, right?
How about that?
Big question here. Big question. Big question. You're watching this podcast. You own a business. What does this have to do with me, Big Nose Impelman? You're spitting on your computer screen. So it's really cooperation is commonly used. Collaboration is a big thing that's used corporately. And it's not real collaboration because people are told to speak up. But if they do speak up, they're afraid if they say the wrong thing, they're going to get busted or thought of badly. Okay?
Yeah.
And how did Red Auerbach, the question was that Bill Russell answered, he won 11 NBA championships.
Regional draft.
So the losers all say, well, he had the best players. Oh, sure. Yeah, he had the best, whatever. That's what the losers all. They always got the same story about the winners. Okay?
Yeah.
So the question was, how do you keep grown men going for 10 years? Excited every day to come to practice. The players designed the offense for the Boston Celtics. They were constantly engaged by Red Auerbach every day of practice. Mm-hmm. They'd come to practice and Auerbach would go, hey, I need a play to get Havlicek more shots. What do you guys want to do?
All right, fair enough.
And so this high level of collaboration, and it's something you're going to find as a theme through all the coaches, was great for Auerbach. The other,
what other memorabilia you got? Let me see.
This is another one I found.
Talking about the Celtics, Craig. Come on, stay on point.
This is my basketball Bible.
Yeah.
And it's written by a guy named Forrest Allen.
Oh, yeah.
So this is the original copy.
Oh.
And it's signed by Forrest.
Opposite of what you think you should do. There you go.
It's signed by Allen to a guy by the name of Christy Walsh.
Christy Walsh.
So who's Christy Walsh?
Christy
I had to
Walsh,
figure that one out.
I know who this is. You set me up the other day.
Did you get it? Are you sure you know?
He was like the first agent for professional athletes, including Babe Ruth.
He was Babe Ruth's agent.
Yeah.
He was considered to be the first baseball sports agent.
Yep.
So those are our 2 memorabilias.
That's solid. Okay, you're coming strong. Now, next I got to ask you something. Yep. I want to we're going to do a little video, and I'm going to introduce a coach because I know how many coaches you deal with, and then we're going to talk a little bit about that coach's impact, and then we could circle around and talk about how Coach Wooden would regard this coach. So the first we're
going to get to Mcclendon, right?
We are. So the first one we're going to do is Lute Olson. So So Marley's going to drop this one in. And of course, we just lost Lute Olson over these past 2 weeks. We lost two great coaches, which Lute Olson and John Thompson. So Marley will play this one. So Lute Olson, he was a North Dakota kid. He grew up in North Dakota. I think it was Mayville, North Dakota. It was interesting. He lost both his dad and his brother to kind of wild circumstance. But he also won a state title there. Met his future wife there. But Lute, also after he started coaching coaching, he had his way from the Midwest out to California, and he ended up coaching at like Western High School in Anaheim, also at Marina Huntington Beach High School, and he worked his way up to Long Beach City College. At Long Beach City College, he thought he found his landing spot. He took him to like, he won 103 games and 22 losses. Like, he was dominating then. 1971 JC National Championship and that forth. Then Long Beach State identified him, and he came in after Jerry Tarkanian was at Long Beach State, but he didn't like what they kind of the way he set him up. He headed out to Iowa. He made his name in Iowa. It was the house that Lute built. They built this big arena for him. He took the Iowa to the 1980 NCAA semifinals, finally found his way into Arizona. Now at Arizona, he took over a team that had their worst record ever, and he turned them into immediate winners. They went to 23 consecutive NCAA tournaments on his watch. 1997, they won the national championship. He was inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame. They had such great players there, as like Steve Kerr and Mike Bibby, Jason Terry, Gilbert Arenas. I'll tell you what, he also had Sean Elliott. How could you forget Sean Elliott? He could play Richard Jefferson, Luke Walton. So he had all these great players, and Lute Olson really created something in the desert that's going to stand the test of time. We lost him, as mentioned, over the last few days. Craig, what do you remember about Lute Olson, his career, and what he built in the desert?
One of the greatest human beings you could ever know.
Yeah.
So if you're going to talk about, and I refer to John Wooden. John Wooden's just an unbelievable person. Lute Olson's like another guy, just like John Wooden. I mean, unbelievable. Now, basketball influence-wise, almost a mini John Wooden. I would say Wooden was definitely a mentor to Lute. Lute was at Marina high school when John Wooden was at UCLA.
Like it. Okay.
And he really modeled his basketball system. And, Coach Wooden learned from Piggy Lambert, who learned actually from Naismith. And we'll get to that later on. But certainly Lute Olson's basketball mentor was John Wooden. Couple great stories. Man, there's so many Lute Olson stories. I'll give you a couple quick hitters. Two coaches invited John Wooden to come to their practice and critique their team and tell them what they were doing wrong. Mike Krzyzewski and Lute Olson. Second one, it's a funny story. Special Olympics charity dinner down at the Wooden Classic. Big dinner. And they're auctioning off a lunch with John Wooden.
Okay.
Now, Lute is sitting there, and Lute Olson and John Wooden are best friends. And, somebody bids, and Lute just keeps on upping the bidding to have a lunch with John Wooden. Lute does. He gives $10,000 to the Special Olympics to have lunch with John Wooden. Okay?
Yeah.
Well, that's not enough. Because now the guy who's running the auction goes, Lute's got one. So let's do another one.
Let's split it. I know that. I used to be an auctioneer.
So they start out, and same deal, right? And they're sitting there, and, it gets to $5,000 for Special Olympics. And Lute bumps it to $10,000, gives another $10,000 in Special Olympics.
Wow.
And then goes over and gives the lunch to the guy who had been the second highest bidder.
That's a beautiful story. I like that. That's beautiful.
So now go fast forward. I'm putting on a Wooden course down in at the University of Arizona in their gymnasium, what's called a team camp, where we bring people in and we have them do an hour basketball, hour in a classroom, right? And budget's a little bit tight.
Okay.
So Lute, I know Lute Olson, great friends with John Wooden, but I'm not, I know him. Hey, Craig, how you doing? But I'm not, hanging out with the guy. I call Coach Olson and I say, Coach, I'm going to be over here. I don't have any budget to pay you to speak. He's probably getting 25, 30 grand a pop to go speak anywhere. Sure. And I said, if you happen to be on campus and you could pop your head in, it'd be a big thrill. Okay. You already know the rest of the story, right? Lute pops his head in for an hour and a half for free, gives his time, and makes it a day that everybody
I love
remembers.
That, like you say, 25, 30 grand a pop, and I got you for some food from Casablanca. I would like to compliment me on my business goals.
Okay, here's a Lute Olson, John Wooden tie-in.
Yes, please.
For those coaches out there.
Yep.
If you're a coach after a game and you're giving long speeches, and see, John Wooden would never tell you this. Lute Olson, they're too nice. I have no tact. I spit when I talk, but I got to be true to myself. If you're giving long speeches after games when you lose, stop it. Please stop it. If you're giving long speeches after games when you win, stop it. So Larry Farmer was asked, what did John Wooden say after a loss? And Farmer said, well, I remember exactly what he said because, when I played, we were 89-1 and only happened one time.
He was 89-1.
And best record of any player in history of college basketball.
That's right.
And it was back at South Bend. We lost to Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And Coach Wooden walked in the locker room and he said, we got whipped. Let's get a shower and get out of here. Nothing but good things about the other team. Let's go. And that was it.
That was it.
So I talking to Lute, and Lute was asked that same question in front of the group. Of course, he said the same thing. It's after a loss, my talk is about a minute long. Let's get a shower and get out of here. Because you're not going to accomplish anything in the locker room after a game other than to hear yourself talk and make yourself feel better and bore the players and make the parents mad they have to wait for an hour and a half while you're talking.
Yeah, quite true.
Where you're going to get it fixed is in practice the next week on the court.
That's right.
So that's a Lute Olson, John Wooden tie-in. Extremely similar guys. So and by the way, Lute is on my list of guys coming up that I'm going to write about. His book, and I can't remember the name of it, it's the only book that he wrote. I read it twice, is fantastic. So
read it twice and you can't remember it?
I don't remember the title of it. Yeah, no.
Come on, Amp.
Hey, it is what it is. The guy, but unbelievable.
Five Final Fours. And, I just found his life really interesting. I think he must have been shaped not unlike Coach Wooden because you came up hard in the Midwest.
Yep.
And he did too. His father was affected by World War I and poison gas. His brother, Lute's brother, died in a tragic accident with
I didn't know that.
Farm equipment or something along these lines. And he lost that, but he has those kind of roots, that led him to be able to make it out west and then to build, such great championship program. And he was always
coach, humble, hardworking,
yeah,
great guy.
Yep.
Walks into your home and he's trying to recruit your son. You want your son to go spend the next 4 years with that guy.
That's right.
Not because of his basketball skills, but because that's the guy you want your son to be around as a role model.
That's right. R.I.P. to Lute. Now we're going to move on to the next coach, Imp, and this is John Thompson.
Oh, man.
So John Thompson, who was born in the District of Columbia, 1941. He was he's the first ever African-American head coach to win a major collegiate championship in basketball. It's widely recognized. As a player, he was a great high school player, a parade All-American, went to Providence College for college. And then, he backed up Bill Russell on the Boston Celtics. He only played 2 years of pro ball, won 2 NBA championships as the backup to him. He took over at Georgetown, and they kind of just said, hey, hopefully we can make a couple NITs. He had much bigger plans, of course. He went on to – he won 71% of his games by the time he was done. His 1984 team with Patrick Ewing won the national championship. He had such players as like Allen Iverson, Alonzo Mourning, who else? Sleepy Floyd, Dikembe Mutombo. I mean, he reached out. He was the guy who walked off the court to protest Prop 48 as inherently racist. And he actually said Prop 48 was a discredit to both white and black players when he walked off. And John Thompson stood up for what he believed in. There's one story I would tell about him imp that had to do with him. It was when he had found out some of his players were cavorting with, hanging out with like this drug lord. I think the guy's name was Edmund or something along these lines. And he called for a meeting with this guy, Edmund, and they met by themselves in the Georgetown Hoyas gym. And he approached this guy who was noted to have killed as many as 40 people in drugs and so forth, over drugs. And Thompson got in his face and said, "I won't have it, and you got to get out." And he launched into this, tirade against this guy, and wouldn't have it anymore. And apparently, this was the only guy that ever backed. I mean, he backed down to Big John, and he walked away from it. So, one of the other things that was interesting about John Thompson is he was the head coach of the 1988 U.S. Olympic team that took the bronze medal. If you remember right, they lost to the Russians in the semifinals. They won the bronze medal, but this was the time when the United States would send college players to take on the world's pros. And it was after that 88 Olympics, when the United States lost, that it was decided, okay, now our pros can go. And so it was 92, the next cycle, when the dream team came, right? But it was John Thompson who took over the 88 team to that bronze medal. And that was actually a great accomplishment when you consider what international ball was like in those days. Everybody undervalued, the rest of the world. John Thompson, what a terrific career that guy had.
Yeah, you touched on, I actually went back and looked. I just wrote 457 was about John Thompson, and the title of it was Belief Plus Action Equals Integrity. And you touched on two of the three things. I'm looking down. I had to go back and look at what I wrote because I never remember. I'm just constantly researching and writing. So there was three things. Recruiting, when he would recruit guys, and he would recruit guys from the inner city, he would tell them on the front end they had 2 years to show that they were serious about school. And if they were doing serious work on the books for 2 years, they could stay. If they weren't working at the books after 2 years, they'd be invited to go somewhere else. 97% of his 4-year players graduated during his 27 years.
Wait, say that again. How many?
97% of his 4-year players graduated in 27 years.
Okay,
he wasn't recruiting guys that necessarily came from with great GPAs coming out of high school.
That to me is the number one thing he should be remembered for. Like, that is brilliant because he brought in, multiple players that were coming from backgrounds that wouldn't set them up to ever have a college degree. And he did not let them down on that level. And that to me is something that John Thompson should be remembered for. Wow. 97.
Well, let's keep going with John Thompson. So, of course, in 1983, they're playing at Villanova. He's got Ewing, and they got all the racist signs about Ewing. The fans are holding him up about being a monkey. It's just a bunch of racist stuff.
Yep.
Thompson takes his team off the court, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Packed arena. Let's go. We're leaving. Off the court. National TV.
Those signs down, right?
Right? Signs go down. He comes back out.
Yep.
Plays the game.
Yeah, he did.
I'm looking down here because I'm referring back to, you're correct, in 1989, he walked off the court twice and refused to coach a game in protesting Prop 42, Prop 48 as being unfair. Now, let's talk about that for a minute. Okay? Nick Saban talks about this. Another great guy who I very misconstrued on who he is. I wrote 5 issues about Nick Saban. Read them. Anyway, test scores, newsflash, test scores are a very poor predictor. Not just John Thompson proved it. Nick Saban, who recruits a lot of guys that maybe aren't necessarily 4.0 students, very poor predictor of whether or not a guy is going to be a successful student. So let's get it simple, okay? If you got great test scores and you had a great GPA, you're probably going to be a pretty good student in college, all right? If you've got bad test scores but a good GPA, you have a great chance of being a great student in college and graduating if you have a great work ethic, because you're going to come in and do the work.
Yeah.
And the test scores don't predict work ethic. It's unfair to the kids that are coming out of schools in bad neighborhoods where the education system doesn't line up with the way the tests are given. And it's not statistically, Coach, it's not a good predictor. So you could have a better test score and a better grade point and end up being a bust because you're a lazy derelict and you don't work at it. So get rid of the test scores. Let's get the guys in there that want to do the work, and they'll figure it out. And that's what John Thompson was saying when he walked off the court twice and refused to coach games on national TV in 1989. By the way, that because of his input, that part of the thing got thrown out the window. And you're correct, Rafe. I looked it up. Rafel Edmond III is the drug kingpin. You can look him up.
Okay.
In DC, and the two things that were going on, he had become a big Georgetown fan.
Right.
And he was wearing Hoya gear everywhere.
Yes.
And, as you pointed out, trying to talk to the guys, nobody stands up to this guy. And Thompson pulls the guy in and says, hey, number one, take that Hoya gear off. You're not wearing it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to see it on you ever again. Oh,
you,
are you kidding me? And then he says, and if I ever catch you talking to one of my guys, I'm going to light you up. I think he tried to talk to him nicely at first, but it wasn't going well. And anyway, so he stopped. And, Saban and Thompson, they both provide their players with a program that doesn't just demand that they graduate. Financial planning, drug awareness, how to treat the other sex, leadership skills, proper etiquette when you're eating out, best way to do an interview, clothes to wear when you're applying for a job, how to talk to people. These guys are using every resource in a school, and some coaches will say, well, my guys don't have time for that. Oh, they're so busy with everything else going on. Well, Saban loads them up during the summer, man. Mm-hmm. You're playing for Nick Saban. During the summer, you're going to leadership classes, you're going to psychology testing, all these other things, right? So that when you leave his program, you're going to know how to start your own business. The complete ministry that you have as a coach to take that kid and give him the best chance to survive in life when he leaves you, because you have his attention.
One of the things about John Thompson that impressed me when you really evaluate his life, and hey, look, every institution has its problems, just like the institution I grew up in was a Catholic church. But he grew up Catholic. His mom was very Catholic, made sure he was always at Catholic schools and stuff. But you can see the positive traits from the Catholic Church that played itself out in his life, and that's standing up for those that deserve to be stand up for. And it was your conviction of what you believe in against all odds. And John Thompson constantly did that. And when he died, you saw Allen Iverson that came out and talked and broke down, talking about how coach looked out for him, that even he offered him that scholarship. And even though Iverson was, caught up in that brawl that happened in Philadelphia and was put into jail, he gave him the scholarship anyways. And he took him under his wing. And that's what I think, it's admirable what Coach Thompson did day in, day out as a man to help move his and those that were in his flock forward.
So with my ADD brain, let's flip. You just dropped two things, and I like that drop. You dropped in recruiting, and you dropped in Allen Iverson.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's the story for all you kids out there, parents out there. You can tell your kids. Lute Olson gets the job at Arizona.
Yeah.
And he has used up all his scholarships except one, because he can't find anybody that he wants to give it to. All right. It's late August. He's out of Cal State LA watching the Summer League. And there's a little 6'1" guy out there running around making jump shots. That had been a ball boy at UCLA under my watch. My bad. I'm an idiot. That's why I'm sitting here not coaching. I'm an idiot. Okay, let's make that clear. There's a guy who's been a ball boy at UCLA for 4 years, grew up on the UCLA campus, came out of high school, not recruited by anybody, not a single scholarship, not one person talking to this guy about playing college basketball. He's just a 6-foot guy that can shoot. Probably too slow. Lute Olson sitting in the stands at Cal State LA. August. Goes, I like that guy. Good student. How much can he hurt us? Gives him a scholarship. Steve Kerr.
Yep.
Starts for 4 years.
Yep.
Okay. So let's stick with Steve Kerr, and let's stick on myth, right? Coaches, some players, not all, watch the ball in the air when they shoot. Oh my God! Oh no! Reggie Miller does, Dirk Nowitzki does, and Steve Kerr does. And I was talking to Scotty Thompson. We're going to get Scotty Thompson on your show. Unbelievable guy. Lute Olson's assistant for 20 years. Yeah. He'll come on in a minute. Head coach Cornell. Rice, Wichita State, fought cancer. He can tell you more Lute Olson stories. But anyway, he's in the gym one night with Kerr shooting free throws, and of course he makes every free throw. And Kerr makes every free throw, and so Scotty's watching him, and he says, "Kerr, are you watching the ball in the air?" He goes, "Oh yeah, coach, I always have." Because you think that's a good idea? He goes, "Well, yeah. Well, I do it, coach." So Thompson, Scotty's smart enough to leave him alone. So if it's working, leave him alone. So that's how. So now let's jump back to John Thompson and go to John McLendon. Are you ready to shift gears?
Yeah. So let me introduce John McLendon real quick.
Oh my gosh.
So upon your insistence, Coach, John McLendon, born in 1915. He died in 1999. He was the first African-American basketball coach to coach a predominantly white American team in any sport. He's a member of the Naismith Hall of Fame. He was born in Kansas. He's got an interesting background. He's born to an African-American father and a Delaware Indian mother. The family had to be separated at one point. He never really connected with his family. What he did connect with was basketball. He loved basketball so much, but he never made his high school team. He finally caught on with a junior college in Kansas City. And from Kansas City, he landed in Kansas at Kansas University. And when he got there, the athletic director at the school was Dr. James Naismith, the inventor of the sport. And he learned from him so much about basketball. He went on to coach at North Carolina College, Hampton University, Kentucky State College. Those are all Negro institutions, right? That were in the all-black league. And so then in Cleveland State University, he finally caught on with a school that had white American players on their team, and that allowed him to move to the next level. So McClendon coached from there. He got identified. He moved up to the Cleveland Pipers of the American Basketball League. They won the first ever AAU national championships. He moved on to the ABA in the Denver, what was a precursor to the Denver Nuggets. He's credited with the invention of the fast break, the full court press, and the 4 quarters offense. Look at this guy. I mean, McClendon pushed against the stream at all points and is remembered by those coaches throughout.
You're the best. You know what I was just laughing about?
What?
So I think I've got a new worst one. My old worst one was when I ran a company for years. I ran around, and if somebody was doing something really well, I'd go up to them and I'd very enthusiastically say, "You are the modicum of being a professional." And I say it all the time, right? People would always go, "Oh, thanks, Coach. Thank you." So after about 10 years, we got a smart guy working there. He goes, "Coach Ip, do you know what the word modicum means?" He goes, "Yeah, it means you're great at it." He says, no. He says, it means minimum. But nobody knew what the word meant. So I was running around telling everybody, you have a minimum. I thought that was the worst thing I'd ever done.
All right, Coach.
But yeah. I've been calling you Lemon on the broadcast.
I know.
Lennon. I got it. That's unbelievable. How could I do that? Lennon, the Lennon brothers, the Lennon sisters. And I'm sitting here going, Lemon.
Yeah.
My apology.
Well, you know, I'll take it like with a grain of lemon.
So, Coach Lennon, John McLendon, unbelievable. So, this is why we're on this coaching thing. When I put together my list of coaches, I was just picking out most Super Bowls, most NBA championships. I wasn't picking out black, white, women, men. I don't even know what that looks like. The only thing I've been accused my whole life that I want to be black. So I've nobody. My best friend is Larry Farmer, godfather of our kids. If anything, white people say, "Oh, when you wish you were black." I mean, when I was growing up, that was the deal. But anyway, so I wasn't thinking black, white, whatever. And then when I was down at San Diego State, and the assistant athletic director told me I needed to get more women coaches. I went, oh man. So I started working on that. And now Black Lives Matter. I said, well, I wonder how many black coaches I have, because I didn't even know, right? And I looked at Eddie Robinson from Grambling. I said, Imp, come on. What are you, a moron? You have no African-American coaches. So I started about a month ago, roughly. I went through and I started looking. I said, man, here's a bunch of people I missed, right? Tony Dungy I started with. Mm-hmm. And obviously John Thompson got in there. Bill Russell was a coach. And I've got a whole list now. Nolan Richardson, I can't wait to get to him. But that's where I came across John McLendon. And fool that I am, I didn't even know who John McLendon was. I never heard his name. Never heard that guy. Never heard the guy's name, right? I'm a moron. And so the first thing that you come across John McLendon is when John Thompson won that national championship, and they tried to say, oh, man, you're a pioneer or whatever. The first words out of John Thompson's mouth were, well, you really need to be looking at John McLendon.
That's right.
And John McLendon is more responsible for the game of basketball as it is today than any one other person on the planet. Period. And you did a great lead, and I'll do a very short on John McLendon because I just written 2 articles about him.
It's not in your wheelhouse, Coach.
But unbelievable, this guy. As you pointed out, so he ends up in Kansas. He's a young guy in Kansas, and he falls in love with basketball. And he's walking by a gym, and somebody opens a gym, and he looks in the gym door, and he sees there's a guy inside shooting baskets. And he goes, wow, I want to be a basketball coach. So that's what he wanted to be. From that point forward, little guy, Kansas City, dad's a truck driver. So he decides that he needs to go to college. The kid does in where's the Hall of Fame? Springfield, because that's where Naismith is. You looked it up. Naismith invented basketball. I want to learn from him.
Right.
So his dad says, well, you probably don't have to go that far. You can go to the University of Kansas.
Right.
Because he's in charge of the PE department there.
He's the AD over there.
Yeah. And he says, but, Dad, there's no black students. There's never been a black student in the PE department in the history of the University of Kansas. And his dad says, hey, I pay my taxes like everybody else. You go there.
Oh, wow.
So he shows up. John McLendon shows up in Naismith's office in Kansas in 1933.
Wow.
See the movie, baby.
Wow.
Young black guy, 19 years old. I'm here to enroll in the PE department. And he says, Naismith says, well, who told you to do that? And he says, my dad. And Naismith says, well, dads are always right. Come on in.
Okay.
And he enrolls him. And this became, I got goosebumps telling the story, man. This becomes the start of the greatest friendship, mentorship that would change basketball.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
Forever.
It does.
And I wrote the last one I just wrote last week, change the things that you can't accept. So it starts out, McClendon's a PE major, and it's a requirement that you pass a swimming test. So McClendon shows up at the swimming pool to take the swimming test. and the guy drains the pool. It's a Wednesday. And McLendon says to the guy, "Will you always drain the pool on Wednesdays?" He goes, "Well, no, figure it out." That's what he says to McLendon. Figure it out. He goes, "Well, I hope you got a big budget because I plan on going swimming every day." So the next day, McLendon shows up again, Thursday. Guess what? They drain the pool.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's what you do.
McLendon goes back to Naismith. Naismith goes, "That's not happening." So the pool's full the next day. Naismith takes McLendon back with two big football players to guard the pool, so the guy can't drain it. And McLendon, who had been a lifeguard, by the way, back in Kansas City, jumps in the pool, goes swimming.
Look out.
With some white guys. They called it mixed swimming.
Yeah.
And it was not allowed. And so McLendon then goes back on campus. Oh, there's an important point here. They tell McLendon, "Look, man, we always give the African Americans an automatic A in swimming. So you don't have to swim. Just take the A. You're going to get an A in swimming. You get your PE degree." McLendon goes, "Hey, man, he didn't say it like this, but I'm going to say, I don't roll that way. I'm not taking anything I don't do. I'm passing a swimming test." So now the word gets around and two things happen. 1,000 students sign a petition to allow, quote, mixed swimming. Oh, my God. And all over campus, not all over campus, signs go up against, well, I won't say what they said, but you can imagine.
Right.
Racial signs about not letting black people in the pool.
Sure.
McLendon goes and gets all the signs, man, and tears them down. And he takes the signs back to Naismith's office, and he hands him the signs. Naismith leaves his office, and he goes to the chancellor's office, the president of the school, and says, "If these signs are up, I'm leaving Kansas tomorrow. I'm resigning, and I'm going to another school." Well, this is the guy that invented basketball. And his coach, by the way, at that time, is a guy by the name of Fog Allen, whose book we showed already.
Yep. Yes, it is.
So Fog Allen, I'm giving you the very long version of the story. Fog Allen says, "Well, hey, guys, he tells McLendon and Naismith, I was just worried that somebody might get hurt." That's what he tells McLendon. So McLendon says, "All right." Now, McLendon's a guy that just gets things done. He says, "Well, what if we go 2 weeks and nobody gets hurt?" This is at the Fog Allen. Actually, he has Naismith say that to Fog Allen. 2 weeks, nobody gets hurt. Well, Allen goes, "Well, then I would agree we should have mixed swimming. It'll be okay. Nobody's going to get hurt." All right. So McLendon leaves. He goes and gets the 60 other black people on the campus. He gets them together. And he goes, "Hey, look, none of us are going to go in the pool for 2 weeks." So they don't use the pool for 2 weeks. And after 2 weeks, Naismith goes back. Fog Allen, nobody got hurt. That's how the swimming pool got integrated at the University of Kansas. And he was just getting started, because then he became the first black member of the student council. Black students were paying all these fees and not getting to use the facilities.
Right.
He changed all that on the spot, right? And he just took them on. He took on America, baby, one at a time. He integrated basketball. He integrated coaching.
Yes, he did.
He brought in the fast break, how he came up with the fast break.
Hey, wait. Fast break, full court press, four corners off.
You want to hear the story about the fast break? Am I talking too long?
To somebody else. What's that?
You want to hear how he got going with the fast break, or am I talking too long?
Both. No, I want to hear about the. Go ahead. How did he get going with the fast break?
Naismith and McClendon are walking around the campus, and some kids are playing. And so some kid runs over and picks up a ball. He takes it away from the kid and runs away with it. And Naismith turns to McClendon and says, "That's the way the game is supposed to be played."
Oh.
As soon as you get the ball, you do something with it. You attack.
Yeah. Yeah.
Based on that conversation, Mcclendon invents the fast break. They were over, everybody was over half court in 4 seconds with his teams. They were running 140 points on people with no 3-point shot back in the 40s. And of course, what did they say? What did the pundits say? Oh, well, I won't say what they said.
Yeah.
Street ball. I guess I'll say they said it was street ball.
Exactly. Street ball.
That's not real basketball.
Yeah.
How did Mcclendon respond? 1965, he wrote a book, Fast Break Fundamentals, 400-page textbook.
Damn.
And that detailed the fast break and explained it, which became the Bible at which everybody else built the break on. So Mr. Lennon, you can get a copy of that book today if you go on Amazon.
Yeah.
But it's going to cost you $980 because there's only one left.
There's only, wow. Yeah, I wait, the full court press generally gets attributed to your grandfather. The
Mcclendon
quarters offense generally gets attributed to
Dean Smith. He got it from Mcclendon. Mcclendon explained it to Dean Smith.
He got it from Dean Smith. And what was the other one? The fast break generally gets to Red Auerbach. And it was
this guy is a, when I write, so I'm going to write a couple more issues about Mcclendon because he's got too much to offer.
Yeah, he does.
A model coach in self-control. I got to get coaches to stop cursing. You're not communicating better by using profanity with your players. Okay? You're setting a bad example. Fix it. Stop doing it. You don't need it to get their attention.
Right.
You guys can all get mad at me. It's okay. Right. Mcclendon didn't curse. Wooden didn't curse. I don't know. You know, it just seems you don't need it, and I don't know what it's improving as.
Well, Imp, it's time for you to shut the F up. So that
I got it.
So that hey, every time I talk to you, I feel like I'm stepping into history, and I love.
I'm stepping with you.
I love that part of having you part of anything I do, especially when it comes to college basketball. It's really important, I think, to preserve our history. And you're my guy, Imp, and I appreciate you coming on tonight. I appreciate you sitting down with me for the video podcast, and we're going to keep pushing this idea forward about what's right and what has been that's going to keep us on the right path.
Let's push forward getting the coaches to read about other coaches.
That's right.
And build their own philosophy.
Let's do it, Coach.
And take the responsibility to minister to young people about how they're going to be as human beings. It is your responsibility. Right. Some coaches have no influence in that area. Some coaches have a bad influence in that area. Yeah. John McLendon, John Thompson, Lute Olson changed people's lives.
Yep. So did that guy named Coach Sean Wood.
By the way, let me close. It's wonderful that the NBA players are stepping up on their platform and teaching life values to America. It's what Naismith invented the game because he said he could minister better to young people because he had a platform, a basketball team where he had their attention. And the NBA players, because of their attention, their platform has the attention of the American public. And they're using it as a platform just like Naismith did. Beautiful guys. Keep going. Push the envelope. Let's go, baby.
I love you, Coach. That's fantastic. You're the best, buddy. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
I won't even swipe you.
I won't.
Damn it. It's like social justice, all the important things you could ever imagine in life. It's like swipe. No, didn't mean it. I love that guy. God, he's the best, right? And you know what? I don't mind. I'm missing 30 minutes of the Lakers first against Houston. It's fine. That's Imp, man. He's talking Mcclendon and Thompson, if not Lute Olson. Coach Wooden, we're talking history here. And Imp brings us history. And I'll be glad to bring Imp on anytime to go along. Woo! He's a load, that guy. He's like the Ferrari twins and their brothers and their Huskies. It's like all of them in the room at the same time. All right. I love you, Imp. That was the best. Okay, we got some Bucks Cobbler kicking it out with Buck, and we out. Have a good Labor Day weekend, everybody.
Well, I know it's kind of late. I hope I didn't wake ya. But there's something that I just gotta say. I hope you'll understand. 'Cause every time I try to tell you, Sports Story comes on at 5. So I have to say goodbye, 'cause it's 5. Roof, roof! Sports Stories with Denny Lennon.
Sports Stories with Denny Lennon is supported by the AAU. Find a local event and join at aausports.org. And remember, you can catch your favorite amateur sports live stream, replays, and highlights at ballertv.com. Sports Stories, along with East Bay, supports the Heroes Movement, a nonprofit that bridges the gap from mental or physical therapy to getting strong again through strength and conditioning workouts. This free service is available for any veteran of the United States Armed Forces. Visit heroesmovementusa.org for more information. Sports Stories, along with thousands of people across the country, also supports the My Stuff Bags Foundation, a nonprofit that provides traumatized children with new belongings and new hope. Learn more at mystuffbags.org. Sports Stories with Denny Lennon is a production of Sports Stories, Inc. and is available on Apple Podcasts and YouTube or wherever you listen and watch. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and give us a review. It really helps spread the word. You can find all our social media links, archives, and other info on our website at sportstoriespodcast.com. Special thanks to the John R. Wooden Course and Wooden's Wisdom. Original music for Sports Stories is courtesy of Lennon Music Productions. Original images by Sienna Lennon Photography. Sports Stories is produced by Christine Jimbo and Marley Rice. Sports Stories is edited by Bob McCall. Additional staff include Ray Castro, Teresa Dolan, Jake Downey, Carlos Haro, and Buck Magic Lennon. Kick it out, Buck!
Yeah, kick it out! Kick it out! Yeah, buddy! Way to kick it out! Good job!